Hello and welcome to the pre-show for Game 2. Please excuse the changes to the format as I've decided to roll the pre-show and the bat rep itself together. Of course, comments and feedback are welcome. But with that preamble out of the way, here are the battle parameters. Game 2's matchup is Darren's Sautekh Necrons versus Tavish's Dark Angels Space Marines. The mission will be Maelstrom of War 5, Territorial Control. The hook of it is, starting from battle round 2, if at the start of your turn you control more objectives than your opponent, you can draw one additional card from your objective deck before putting any cards into play. It's a bit of a weird one, as it provides a subtle perk for the player in the dominant position, but understanding that, it means board control is that much more crucial. The war zone will be Raxus Prime. It's a volcanic chaos-themed table, which was actually built by Darren. It looks great and was a real treat to use for this battle, so give Darren some love in the comments. Let's get on to the list breakdown. Starting with the Untested, Darren has opted for a single brigade detachment. Acting as the Warlord is Sautekh the Stormlord. The Warlord trait he must take for being a named character is Hyperlogical Strategist, which gives him a once per battle reroll for either a hit, wound, or damage roll made by him. But more importantly, it allows for some CP farming, rolling for each command point spent, looking for any 5s. And for being the Warlord, he grants an additional 1 command point. The second and third HQ is Nemesaur Zandrak and Vargard Oberon. In addition to bringing the benefits of being an Overlord and Lord, these two characters have a few unique abilities. Most notable of them is that Oberon has a teleport style ability which he can use at the end of a movement phase to pull himself and a nearby unit to reposition them within 6 inches of Zandrak and 1 inch away from enemy models, providing some very powerful flexibility. The last HQ is a Lord, taken with a Hyperphase sword. He has been given the relic, the Veil of Darkness, which grants a once per game teleport move for the bearer and 1 unit within 3 inches, allowing them to be repositioned anywhere on the board but more than 9 inches away from enemy models, and the accompanying unit must be set up within 6 inches of the bearer. It's a playmaking relic that is not often gone without by Necron players. Filling out the troop slots are 6 squads of Immortals taken in various configurations. The first 2 are 10-man units with Tesla carbines. The third is a Tesla unit with 9 Immortals, and the 4th squad is a Tesla unit with 5 Immortals. The last 2 Immortal squads are both taken with Gauss Blasters, and are 5 Immortals strong. In the elites there is the Nightbringer. The 2 powers he knows are Antimatter Meteor and Cosmic Fire. Next is a 6-man squad of Lichguard, taken with Hyperphase Swords and Dispersion Shields. And the last elite is a Triarch Stalker taken with Twin Heavy Gauss Cannons. The Stalker is an excellent force multiplying unit. Whenever it targets a unit, regardless of whether it even manages to hit, all other Necron units can reroll hit rolls of 1 against that target. In the fast attack slots are 3 squads of 3 Scarabs. They fill out the fast attack slots at a decent cost and provide some fast moving screen. In the heavy support are the big guns of the list, 2 Doomsday Arcs. Their large Doomsday Cannon fires d6 anti-tank shots, and if stationary, those shots deal d6 damage. They also feature a Gauss Flare array, essentially a rapid-fire 5 Gauss Flare, so it has some decent anti-infantry output as well. The last unit in the heavy support slot is a single Heavy Destroyer. The list rounds out to 1998 points and provides a total of 16 command points. Darren has labeled in his build notes that his strategy with the list is to feature lots of Tesla that can synergize well with My Will Be Done, allowing the exploding dice to go off on lower rolls. Zandrak and Oberon facilitate the movement of that Tesla, and the Lichguard protect the key characters that the list revolves around. Tavish's list is comprised of a battalion and outrider detachment. Leading the battalion and serving as the army's warlord is a Primaris Chaplain. He has the Warlord trait, Brilliant Strategist, which gives Tavish's list some CP farm as well. The litany he knows is Recitation of Focus, in addition to the Litany of Hate and Stoic Prosecution. The second HQ is a Primaris Lieutenant, taken with a Mastercrafted Stalker Bolt Rifle. Filling out the first of the troop slots is a 5-man Intercessor Squad with Bolt Rifles, followed by a second Intercessor Squad, this one being 8 men strong, equipped with Auto Bolt Rifles. And the last troops unit is a squad of Bolt Gun Scouts. Rounding out the battalion is a max-size squad of Hellblasters. They have been equipped with the standard rapid-fire plasma incinerators. The Outrider detachment is led by a Talonmaster. He has been given the new relic from Ritual of the Damned, the Corvus Oculus, which increases his range by 6 inches, and he can add 1 to his hit rolls. 1 command point has been spent to give him the Warlord trait Impeccable Mobility, which allows Ravenwing models within 6 inches of him the ability to ignore penalties for moving and shooting heavy weapons, and advancing and shooting assault weapons, which includes himself. These 2 new options taken from Ritual of the Damned makes the Talonmaster a far more efficient unit than he was previously. When added to the benefits of the Dark Angel's new Doctrine benefit, the Talonmaster has a new minimum threat range of 36 inches compared to his previous 24, and instead of moving and hitting on 4s, he can now move and hit on 2s. And with the Devastator Doctrine in play, his 18 shots all have an AP value of -2. In the Elite slot is a Ravenwing Champion, and an additional 1 command point has been spent to give him the relic from the Ritual of the Damned, the Reliquary of the Repentant, which forces enemies within 3 inches to subtract 1 from their invulnerable saves, which is quite a handy perk to have, and on a flexible unit like the Champion, it can provide some pretty strong utility. The first fast attack unit is a 3-man Inceptor squad with Assault Bolters. This is followed by a second 6-man Inceptor squad fitted with Plasma Incinerators. Providing some defensive support is the Ravenwing Darkshroud, which grants that much appreciated -1 to hit aura to units within 6 inches. The next fast attack unit is a favorite among Ravenwing fans. We have a 5-man squad of Black Knights, all taken with Corvus Hammers and Plasma Talons. Rounding out the last of the fast attack units is a Ravenwing Attack Bike, taken with the Heavy Bolter. And the last unit in the Outrider is a Nephilim Jet Fighter, equipped with an Avenger Mega Bolter, twin Heavy Bolters, and 2 Black Sword missiles. In total, the list is 1993 points, and features a total of 7 command points. It makes use of some new relics and traits from Ritual of the Damned, and features 3 large squads of plasma with which to use weapons of the Dark Age. Hello and welcome to the demon world of Roxas Prime. As you can see, we have the Necrons played by Darren and the Dark Angels played by Tavish. They are deployed in the Hammer and Anvil setup. All of the objectives have been placed within both players' deployment zones, 2 with the Dark Angels and the remaining 4 within the Necrons' grasp. An important note on the map we're playing: we have decided to rule the lava surface as hazardous terrain, only allowing units with the fly keyword to end their movement on those surfaces. Non-flying units can move past or over them, but cannot end their move on the lava surfaces. The Dark Angels are poised for the first turn, and the Necrons have elected to seize. But the result is a 1, so it's going to be Dark Angels turn 1. On to the card draws. Tavish is playing Overwhelming Firepower, so kill stuff in the shooting phase. Area Denial, score 1 for having no enemy units within 6 inches of the center, or D3 points for having no enemy units within 12 inches. Definitely a lucky draw on the first turn. And a Dark Angels exclusive objective, Not One Step Back, which asks you to make a gambit. The gambit being, secretly select either this turn, your next turn, or the next 2 turns, and during that time, no Dark Angels units can fall back or fail a morale test. And Tavish has decided to go for the big gamble, which means no falling back or failing morale tests for 2 consecutive turns, for the chance to score D3 plus 3 victory points. And before the first turn begins, Darren has elected to prepare his positions for 2 command points, granting his army the benefit of cover. And he is rolling now to see if he can refund any of those spent command points, looking for 5s. Nothing this time, which brings him to 14 command points. So, recapping the movement phase, pretty much the entirety of the Dark Angels' force moved towards the bottom edge of the board, trying to bring most of their weapons to bear for overwhelming firepower. Also at this point, I'd like to point out that the Primaris Chaplain's Litany was manifested at the start of the turn before the movement phase, and canted Recitation of Focus onto the Black Knights that were beside him. So, starting off in the shooting phase, the Black Knights are going to fire into the Doomsday Arc. Tavish has elected to not use the stratagem Weapons from the Dark Age, and just use the standard Overcharged Plasma, as he doesn't want Darren to better leverage Quantum Shielding. So he's got 10 shots hitting on 2s thanks to Recitation of Focus. And with all of them hitting, he's now wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s for the Talon Master, which manages to yield a total of 6 wounds. Darren's Doomsday Arc gets a 6-up armor save thanks to prepared positions, which in this case yields nothing. And he can make his quantum shielding rolls looking for 1s. Ignoring one of those wounds, the Doomsday Arc suffers 10 damage total from the Black Knights, and has 4 wounds remaining. Next we're on to the Nephilim Jetfighter. Tavish has elected to split fire its weapons, with the Avenger Megabolter and twin heavy bolt guns going into the Necron Immortals, and the 2 Black Sword missiles into the Doomsday Arc. Starting with the damage being dealt into the Immortals, the Nephilim Jetfighter managed to deal 9 wounds between the Avenger Megabolter and the twin heavy bolters. All of that is with AP-2 thanks to the Devastator Doctrine, which results in the Immortals only getting a 4-up save.
Hoping for 4. So 9 dice looking for 4s.
And with that save done, 6 Immortals fall to the Nephilim Jetfighter, leaving only 4 remaining in the 10-man squad on the objective. On to the Black Sword missiles going into the Doomsday Arc. It has 2 shots, and with each dealing 2 damage, it's just enough to get the kill. Hitting on 3s because the Doomsday Arc has the fly keyword.
Okay, that's a 1. I want to command point that. Let's do it. Go big or go home. It hits.
And wounding on 3s. With both successful, that's 2 wounds at AP4 because of the Devastator Doctrine. And because of that AP4, the Doomsday Arc does not get to make an armor save, so Darren is making his quantum shielding rolls looking for 1s to ignore the damage here.
Oh!
He ignores the 1, so he's alive with 2 wounds.
Guy.
On to the Hellblasters. They are going to split fire. 2 shots using black dice into the Doomsday Arc, and the remaining 8 with green dice into the Triarch Stalker. Tavish has used the stratagem Weapons of the Dark Age to increase the plasma damage to 2 without needing to overcharge, denying any room for self-destructs. And, in an attempt to mitigate some of that damage, Darren has used the stratagem Quantum Deflection on the Triarch Stalker. These are hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s for the Lieutenant.
Okay. Oh, man. Okay, that's no good. So that's 3 wounds only on the Triarch Stalker.
Here, Darren is looking for 6s to save against the Plasma Incinerators.
So no, they all go through, and now I use my quantum shielding roll, and because I used quantum deflection, that stratagem gets ignored on a 2 or a 1. So I'm looking for 2s and 1s. No.
And with those 3 wounds going through, the Triarch Stalker suffers 6 damage from the Hellblasters. On to the Primaris Lieutenant. He's going to try and finish off the Doomsday Arc, which he can potentially do since his weapon is AP-3 and deals 2 damage. He has 1 shot and he moved, so he's hitting on a 4-up.
No, he got a 1, so it's definitely a...
So the task falls upon the Talon Master, who is going to split fire. 12 shots using green dice from the Twin Assault Cannon is going into the Triarch Stalker, and 6 shots using black dice into the Weekend Squad of Immortals. These are all hitting on 2s because of the Relic and Warlord trait combo given to the Talon Master. And the Twin Assault Cannons are wounding on 4s, and the Heavy Bolter shots are wounding on 3s, all rerolling 1s for his own aura. The results from the Talon Master shots are 6 Heavy Bolter wounds and 7 from the Twin Assault Cannon. Starting with the saves for the Doomsday Arc. With an AP value of 2, Darren's looking for 5s.
So I save 2. Sorry. That leaves 5 left for quantum shielding. What's the damage on it? 1. Okay, so it all goes through. Because I can't roll less than a 1. This one, it can blow up. Does it blow up? Does it blow up? No,
it does not. So this is...
And now making his saves for the Immortals.
So that 4 will do it. I think I'm going to command point reroll. Do I save it? So this will see if I get my command point back. I do not. And the save will be... No, we tried.
And Tavish just now rolling to see if his Warlord trait is also able to generate any of the CP he spent this turn.
Nothing.
A bit of a summary rounding up the shooting phase. All the firepower from the Ravenwing Champion and the Ravenwing Darkshroud only result in slaying 1 Necron Immortal from this squad here. And with no charges to declare, we'll be right back with the Dark Angels scoring. Not managing to clear 3 enemy units in the shooting phase means overwhelming firepower earns only 1 victory point. But with no enemy units within 12 inches of the center, area denial is worth D3. For this, Tavish rolls the big 3. And not one step back remains valid for Dark Angels turn 3. The Dark Angels end their first turn with a total of 5 victory points. For the Necron objectives, from his hand Darren plays Slaughter the Living, requiring him to slay one enemy unit this turn, along with Secure Objective 5 and Secure Objective 3, both of which are already controlled. It's a good hand that will allow him to free up all 3 objective slots on his next turn. So, before the first turn begins, we have a bunch of Necron stuff. First up, reanimation protocols for this immortal squad here. Can the one which was slain return?
Come back on a 5 or 6.
Not this time. Next, the Triarch Stalker's Living Metal ability takes him up from 6 to 7 wounds. Now it's time for Nemesis Xandrek's Transient Madness. The result of a 4 is Quell the Rebellion, which can improve a nearby unit's ballistic skill by 1, which he will apply to the unit of immortals just south of him. Xandrek will then declare his My Will Be Done on this same group of immortals. Imhotep can make use of My Will Be Done twice, so he will be giving 1 to the nearby unit of Lichguard, and 1 to the immortals just north of him. Recapping Necron movement. Not too much movement towards the north edge of the board. Both units of immortals have position to secure their hold of the nearby objectives. Everything else has moved forward, with 2 of the 3 Scarab groups advancing. Of particular note is the Nightbringer, who has moved in such a way to ensure the Nephilim Jetfighter is the closest visible target. The Nightbringer will manifest Antimatter Meteor, looking for a 2+ to summon.
A 4, so D3 mortal wounds. So 3 mortal.
And closing out the movement phase will be Oberon's Ghost Walk Mantle ability.
Some teleport shenanigans. So Xandrek is here, and Oberon can pick himself and a unit within 6 up, so these guys, and place them within 6 inches of Xandrek, 1 inch away from the enemy.
A bit of a summary to start off the shooting phase. Both groups of immortals were not able to clear the unit of scouts which were positioned here on the building. The scout sergeant stands defiant. Next, the Nightbringer, firing his Gaze of Death into the Nephilim Jetfighter. It's D6 shots, to which Darren rolls 6. These are hitting on 4s because the Nightbringer advanced and the Nephilim Jetfighter is hard to hit, and wounding on 6s because it is a vehicle. The Gaze of Death results in 1 successful wound, but with AP4 the Jetfighter can't save. It's D3 damage, which deals 2 damage onto the Jetfighter, bringing it to 5 wounds. The Triarch Stalker is now aiming its twin Gauss cannons at the Jetfighter, and Tavish is using the stratagem High Speed Focus, enabling the 4-up invuln provided by Jink to the Jetfighter, even though it did not advance. Now Tavish is rolling to see if that CP can be refunded. It's not, so he is down to 4 command points. The Gauss cannon's 2 shots are hitting on 4s because of the hard to hit, and wounding on 3s. 1 manages to wound, and Tavish must now roll for his 4-up Jink save, which has failed, and the D6 damage. With a result of 6, that is more than enough to destroy the Jetfighter. And luckily it does not explode. Next up, Imhotep shooting into the Black Knights with his Staff of the Destroyer. 3 shots hitting on 3s because of the Ravenwing Darkshroud. Wounding on 3s, but rerolling 1s for the nearby Lord. It results in 2 wounds at AP3 each, dealing flat 2 damage. Tavish is looking for 6s to save. He makes 1, but 1 Black Knight falls. Then, Imhotep will call the Storm. Summoning the Storm requires Darren to roll a 2-up, and the unit suffers that many mortal wounds. If the Storm is successfully summoned, units within 6 inches can suffer D3 mortal wounds as splash damage. And with a 2, it is just passed. Lightning shatters the battlefield and another Black Knight is slain. Now rolling for the nearby units, on a 6-up, they suffer D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. So you want to point to them and I'll roll?
Yes, we'll do Dark Shroud first.
Dark Shroud. No, but close.
Champion.
Champion. Nope.
Talon Master.
Talon Master. Oh, Talon Master will take
Hellblasters.
3 mortal wounds.
Oh, sorry. And then the Hellblasters.
Hellblasters will take 2 mortal wounds.
Right.
Returning to the shooting with a bit of a summary, the Doomsday Arc fired into the Dark Shroud. The Doomsday Cannon rolled 1 shot, it hit, but failed to wound, as did the entirety of the Goss Flayers. And the Destroyer fires into the Hellblaster squad, obliterating a single Hellblaster. And Nemesor Zandrik fired into the Black Knights, but misses entirely. Closing out the shooting phase will be the 2 squads of Necron Immortals. Both units have the same buffs, and both are being affected by the same reroll auras, and both are shooting into the Hellblasters. So we've decided to resolve them together. Tavish has decided to not use transhuman physiology, as he believes this volume is likely to just wipe the squad entirely. So it's 24 shots hitting on 2s, 5s and 6s exploding. While it wasn't a whiff, only getting 3 Tesla explosions is an absolute win for Tavish. These are wounding on 3s and rerolling 1s for the Lord nearby. The result is 16 successful wounds. Tavish needs to make these on his 3-up armor save. And after the dust settles, in a surprising turn of events, only 2 Hellblasters fall. A bit of a summary to start off the charge phase. This unit of Scarabs that did not advance did declare a charge against the Black Knights and the remaining Scout Sergeant, and it was command point rerolled from a double 1 to a 1 and a 2. The unit of Scarabs here that did advance will be activated for the Adaptive Subroutine stratagem, which will allow them to charge even though they advanced. The target of the charge will be the Black Knights and the Talon Master, as they are relatively close and have no line of sight to the Scarabs. And with a 4, they are in. Next will be Oberon. He will be charging into the Black Knights, and given his position being just 1 inch away because of the Ghost Walk mantle, we are counting that as an automatic charge. The Lich Guard, however, will be charging both the Black Knights and the Talon Master, who is primed for some Overwatch. It results in 3 hits, and the final result is 2 saves at -2 against the Lich Guard. The Lich Guard suffer 1 wound, but will they make the charge? And with a 9 they will absolutely get into combat. We'll be right back with the Necrons fight phase. Starting in the fight phase, Oberon is fighting into the attack bikes. He hits on 2s and wounds on 3s, rerolling 1s for himself.
3 hits, wound on 3s, reroll 1s for himself. Rerolling 1s. So all 3 and an AP 4.
Because of the AP of -4 on his weapon, the combat results in Oberon striking down a Black Knight with each swing of his Warscythe, removing the unit from the board. Electing to not interrupt, we are continuing with the Lich Guard. In a cunning play by Darren, the Lich Guard have piled into the Hellblasters. Since the Hellblasters were not declared as part of the charge, the Lich Guard cannot fight them. And while this does allow the Hellblasters to fight back, it also means these Lich Guard cannot be fired at next turn unless the Hellblasters fall back. Darren is using the stratagem Disruption Fields, rolling now to see if he can get that command point back. Disruption Fields gives them +1 to their strength, bringing the Lich Guard to a total of strength 7, meaning they can now wound the Talon Master on 3s. They have 12 attacks hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s rerolling 1s. Tavish needs to make 6 6-up saves. And with only 3 wounds remaining, those 4 failed saves will spell the end for this Talon Master. But does he explode? Not this time. He quietly leaves the battlefield, perhaps to return to a future theater of war. Closing out the fight phase is the Hellblasters. Because the Hellblasters were not charged, they do not get the bonus attacks from Shock Assault. So in this instance they have 13 attacks, hitting on 3s and wounding on 5s, rerolling 1s because of the nearby Lieutenant, and the Lich Guard will be saving on their armor save of 3. The result is 2 unsaved wounds, each dealing 1 damage, killing off the wounded Lich Guard and leaving another alive with 1 wound remaining. But that rounds out the Necrons fight phase. A quick bit of Dark Angel's morale. The Hellblasters pass on a 2, and the Scouts fail on a 5, but pass because the Scout Sergeant knows no fear. Before we resolve the objectives, Darren has decided to use the Schemes of War stratagem Tactical Foresight for 1 command point. And again, he is still unable to refund any of his spent command points. Tactical Foresight allows the player to look at the top 3 cards of their deck, and then return the cards to either the top or the bottom of their deck in any order they choose. Resuming the Necron scoring, we have Secure Objective 3, which has been achieved for 1, Secure Objective 5, which has also been achieved for 1 victory point, and Slaughter the Living, which has also been achieved for 1 victory point. bringing the Necron's current victory point total to 4. At the top of Battle Round 2, Tavish is going to use the Tactical Foresight stratagem as well, rolling now to see if that command point is refunded, which this time it is. For the Dark Angel's objectives, not one step back remains in play, and Tavish will play No Forgiveness, which grants 1 victory point for destroying an enemy unit which is currently holding an objective, and Assassinate, requiring him to kill some characters. At the start of the battle round, the Primaris Chaplain will cant the Litany of Hate, looking for a 3-up, and with a 5 he gets it. At this time, Tavish has also decided to switch to the Tactical Doctrine. Recapping the Dark Angel's movement, the Hellblasters have remained in combat as Tavish does not want to give up his objective, not one step back. The Ravenwing Champion has pushed forward just 1 inch away from Oberon, looking to slay him for Assassinate. The Darkshroud and the 2 squads of Intercessors have adjusted their positions to better leverage the Darkshroud's bubble, granting them all a -1 to hit. The Primaris Chaplain and the attack bike did remain stationary, with the Primaris Lieutenant moving forward just slightly. And dropping in from high orbit are 9 Inceptors, 3 with the Assault Bolters and 6 with Plasma. They have all been tactically placed on this mountainous lava fall to leverage the benefit of cover. A bit of a summary for the shooting phase. The Ravenwing Champion fired his supercharged Plasma Talons into Oberon.
Yes.
Both shots hit, but failed to wound. The Hellblasters firing their pistols were not able to make any successful wounds against the Lich Guard they were in combat with. The 2 HQ characters, the attack bike and the Darkshroud, dumped their firepower into the unit of Scarabs, destroying the unit. And the Bolt Rifle Intercessor squad took a few pot shots at the squad of Immortals here and managed to take 1 out. On to the Inceptors, starting with the Assault Bolter squad. Tavish has fired them into the squad of Immortals on the objective here on the top left corner of the board. It's 18 shots hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s. Of the 18 shots fired, 10 managed to wound, and because of the AP-2 granted by the Tactical Doctrine, Darren is looking for 4s to save. And 4 Immortals fall, leaving 1 still remaining in the unit. Tavish has decided to split fire the large plasma squad of Inceptors. He wants to remove that remaining Immortal, not giving them the chance to reanimate. So 2 Inceptors will fire into the lone Immortal, and the remaining 4 will fire into the squad of Immortals here in the crater. Starting with the 2 Inceptors, firing 4 D3 shots, which dials up to a total of 10. In retrospect, it may seem excessive to dedicate 2 Inceptors worth of plasma to 1 Necron Immortal, but it was entirely possible for 1 Inceptor to only get 2 shots, and Tavish didn't want to leave any room for whiffs. Of the shots fired, 9 hit, and 6 wound with AP-5, denying their save, and utterly obliterates the lone Immortal. The remaining 4 dial up a total of 19 shots, hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s, resulting in 12 successful wounds, and with AP-5, the large squad of Immortals on Objective 6 are also destroyed. Starting off the charge phase, the Ravenwing Champion will be charging Oberon. There is no Overwatch to resolve, he's in. And after the Champion's charge move is complete, Darren has elected to heroically intervene with Oberon. Seeing as his base wasn't locked by the charge, he can push Oberon to get a bit of free movement here. Entering the fight phase with the Ravenwing Champion, he has 4 attacks with Shock Assault. He hits on 2s, rerolling all hits against characters, all of which hit, and 3 of which wound with AP-3. And Darren rolls to save with Oberon, whose 2-up save becomes a 5. And he passes them all. Oberon refuses to yield. Interrupting the Dark Angel's fight sequence is the Lich Guard. Darren is spending 2 command points for the counter-offense stratagem, rolling to see if he can refund any command points. And he does, effectively making this stratagem only cost 1 command point. Tavish has decided to use transhuman physiology here to try and keep those Hellblasters alive. The Lich Guard have 10 attacks hitting on 3s and wounding on 4s because of transhuman physiology. The result is 4 successful wounds at AP-3, which would force the Hellblaster's armor save to a 6-up. This time, however, Tavish is unable to make any. 2 Hellblasters fall. Hellblasters fighting back now. They have 9 attacks hitting on 3s, re-rolling all hits from the Litany of Hate cast by the Chaplain, and wounding on 5s, re-rolling 1s for the Lieutenant. The result is 4 wounds at 0 AP, and the Lich Guard only fail 1 of their saves, and it results in slaying the wounded Lich Guard. And closing out the fight phase, Oberon easily strikes down the Ravenwing Champion. Now on to Dark Angel's scoring. The Dark Angels were only able to achieve no forgiveness, bringing them up to 6 victory points. and Tavish has decided to discard Assassinate, freeing up that objective slot for his next turn. Now on to Necron objective nominations. From his hand, Darren will play Secure Objective 6, which is not currently held, but is nearby in their deployment zone. Area Denial, which is to keep the Dark Angels out from the center, which is convenient since they did move away from the center on their turn, and No Prisoners, which is simply to destroy enemy units. For the Necron's turn start abilities, we have reanimation protocols for the 2 Immortals from the lower squad, none of which reanimate, and we have 2 to reanimate for the Lich Guard, one of which does. For Xandrek's Transient Madness, a 5 means he can grant a nearby unit the ability to reroll failed charges, and he is selecting this unit of Immortals. Then Xandrek will use his My Will Be Done on the same unit. Imhotep will be using his 2 My Will Be Dones on the Heavy Destroyer and the unit of Goss Immortals here. Necron's movement recap. The Doomsday Arc shifted backwards towards the Inceptors to bring their Goss Flayers into rapid fire range, and the Goss Immortals did the same moving into this crater here. And while they did advance in order to get that movement, the Sautekh Dynasty code will still enable them to shoot, letting them treat their rapid-fire 1 weapons as Assault 1. The Heavy Destroyer floated on up to sit on this building, and the Nightbringer and the units here all performed a normal move pushing further into the Dark Angels' lines. The one exception being Xandrek, who had advanced in an attempt to get more movement for some potential teleportation. And everything else remained stationary. For the Nightbringer's powers, he will use Cosmic Fire, which can do mortal wounds to enemy units within 9 inches. On a 4-up, they suffer D3 mortal wounds. Rolling for the Hellblasters, they suffer 2 mortal wounds. The Scout Sergeant is slain, and the Primaris Lieutenant is safe, as is the attack bike. And closing out the movement phase, some teleportation from Oberon.
I will teleport Oberon and the Lich Guard within 6 of Xandrek.
Jumping ahead post-teleport, Oberon and the Lich Guard have used the teleport to effectively fall back out of combat without having to give up further activations this turn. Starting in the shooting phase with Imhotep the Stormlord, he is firing his Staff of the Destroyer into the Hellblasters. He has 3 shots, 2 hit, and his once per game reroll provided by his Warlord trait, failing to turn that fail into a success. And wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s for the nearby Lord. It results in 1 wound at AP-3. Tavish needs a 6-up to save the damage, and with 2 damage flat, that is 1 more Hellblaster slain. A bit of a summary here. The Nightbringer fired his Gaze of Death into the Primaris Lieutenant, resulting in 1 wound which rolled the D3 damage as 1, bringing the Lieutenant down to 4 wounds. Then Xandrek's Staff of Light manages to deal 2 wounds, taking down another Hellblaster. The Triarch Stalker fired its twin Goss cannons into the Plasman Scepters, which unfortunately failed to wound, but still triggered the Stalker's ability to allow all Necron units to reroll hit rolls of 1 against them. Due to the limitation of their range, the unit of Goss Immortals here can't reach all the Plasman Scepters. They ended up split firing, 3 into the Plasman Scepters and 2 into the Assault Bolter squad, which resulted in 1 Plasman Scepter suffering a wound. Darren is now spending 2 command points on Methodical Destruction, which he can activate on the Plasman Scepters since they suffered a wound. It allows all Sautekh units to add 1 to hit rolls against the Plasman Scepters. Next, the Doomsday Arc will fire into the Plasman Scepters, starting with the Goss Flayers. They have 20 shots hitting on 2s and wounding on 5s. It results in 3 wounds against the Inceptors, all of which are saved. And the Doomsday Cannon gets 3 shots, with only 1 managing to wound. It slays the wounded Inceptor. The group of Immortals which advanced managed to slay another Inceptor, but the Heavy Destroyer firing into the Plasman Scepters as well failed to wound. But on to the last unit of the shooting phase, the Tesla Immortals in the crater. They are firing into the Plasman Scepters, and Darren has put together quite a wombo combo here. It's a total of 16 shots hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s for the Triarch Stalker. They can add 2 to their hit rolls because of Imhotep's My Will Be Done and Methodical Destruction, which means 4s, 5s, and 6s all trigger the Tesla explosions. Those hits are wounding on 4s and rerolling 1s for the Lord. And Darren is spending an additional command point for the Solar Pulse stratagem, which will remove the Inceptor's cover bonus. The result from the 16 shots is 32 total hits. Resolving the wound rolls, Darren rolled extremely well, and Tavish had a total of 22 3-up saves to make, which resulted in the destruction of the plasma
One guy
inceptors.
dead, the other guy's dead. So squad's dead.
Summarizing the charge phase, a heap of charges were made, and this is the end result with a ton of the Dark Angels units that are on this side of the board just locked down in combat. The only casualties suffered during the Overwatch was the Lich Guard, who suffered, or Vanguard Oberon. Is that him?
Yep.
Yeah, Vanguard Oberon, who suffered 4 wounds from a lucky plasma Hellblaster shot, but he actually soaked 3 of the wounds and passed off 1 to the Lich Guard with their abilities to bodyguard. And with that explained, we're on to the fight phase.
Starting in the fight phase with the Lich Guard, 3 of them are attacking into the Chaplain Warlord, and 1 will be going into the attack bike. The one attacking the bike manages to deal 2 damage, bringing the bike down to 2 wounds. Next, the remaining 3 into the Chaplain. 6 attacks hitting on 3s, and wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. It results in 4 wounds at minus 3 AP. Tavish now rolling his 4-up Rosarius save. But the 3 wounds manage to slip through, bringing him down to 2 wounds. Next, the lower group of Scarabs attacking into the remaining Hellblaster, who makes all his saves. Then, Oberon splits his 4 attacks, 3 going into the Hellblaster and 1 into the Primaris Lieutenant. The combat results in Oberon slaying the Hellblaster and inflicting another 2 damage onto the Primaris Lieutenant. Next will be the northern group of Scarabs. Before making the attacks with them, Darren will be using the stratagem Self-Destruct to try and kill off the Primaris Lieutenant.
He does blow up,
Does it do the what I want it to?
and he does.
And with those 2 mortal wounds, it's just enough to destroy the Lieutenant. The remaining Scarab bases attack into the attack bike, but fail to wound. Returning to the Nightbringer. Because the Primaris Lieutenant was slain, it meant the Nightbringer could pile in and make his attacks into the attack bike, which he destroys with ease. And the Chaplain, furious to see his brothers fall, fights back. He has 5 attacks hitting on 2s, hitting with all of them and wounding on 4s, managing to wound with 4. He ends up slaying 3 of the Lich Guard, but remains locked in combat with the 1 Lich Guard. At the end of their turn, the Necron forces secure Objective 6 for 1 victory point, and Area Denial and No Prisoners were both achieved at their max value, each worth D3. The Necrons score a total of 5 victory points this turn, bringing their total to 9. At the top of Dark Angel's turn 3, we can see that the Dark Angels are behind in both victory points and have few assets remaining. Because of this, Tavish has decided to spend his last 2 command points on the Schemes of War stratagem Reprioritize, allowing him to discard 2 cards from his hand and draw 2 new cards from his deck, rolling now to see if he is able to refund. The 2 cards he will be putting into play are Defend Objective 4, which he already has in his control, and can net him 2 victory points if he can hold it for 2 consecutive turns. And the second is Priority Orders Received for the objective No Prisoners. Priority Orders grants a bonus of 3 victory points to an attached objective, but it demands that the objective is only qualified by your Warlord. Essentially, if Tavish's Chaplain can kill the 1 Lich Guard in combat with him and no other units are slain this turn, he can score 3+1 victory points from this singular objective. And at the top of his turn, the Chaplain will cant the Litany of Hate on a 3-up, which is successful, and Tavish will change to the Assault Doctrine as it may prove handy for his priority orders. Dark Angel's movement recap. Essentially, everything has remained stationary, with only the Dark Shroud edging over behind the Chaplain. Because of the priority orders, Tavish does not want to destroy any enemy units with any of his units with the exception of his Warlord. With this in mind, he has allocated his shots in such a way to just weaken the Necron units, but not destroy any outright. So in summary, the Intercessors take a few potshots at the Immortals, managing to destroy 2, and the Dark Shroud's Heavy Bolter manages to take out 1 more. The Bolter Inceptors are splitting their shots, 1 into the Ghostblaster Immortals and 2 into the Doomsday Ark. It results in the Inceptors being able to inflict 3 wounds on the Doomsday Ark. And finally, the Chaplain's Absolver Bolt Pistol fires into the Lich Guard. It hits, but fails to wound. At this point, Tavish is electing to not make any additional charges, so we will be right back in the fight phase. Although no charges were declared, the Nightbringer was in range to heroically intervene, bringing him into position to put his attacks into the Chaplain. So, everything relies on this one combat. The Chaplain is putting all of his attacks into the Lich Guard, He has 4 attacks, all of which hit, and they wound on 4s, and the roll results in 2 successful wounds at AP -2. Darren can save this on 4s.
4, looking for 2 4s. There's
He
one.
passes one, fails one.
Command reroll.
Well, it's a lot of objectives are riding on it.
This is a
so-
new turn. Do I get it back? I do not get it back. No! Good try.
Huge.
The chaplain manages to achieve his priority order, but now it's time for the Nightbringer.
Okay, next is the Nightbringer. Before he does his swing, Darren has decided to use the stratagem Entropic Strike, which will allow his first attack made with the Nightbringer to ignore the chaplain's invulnerable saves. So we'll roll that one up first.
Looking for 2s to hit. Looking for 2s to wound.
Oh, it's all ready. No invulnerable save. AP 4.
AP 4.
So this goes right through. So what's the damage?
3.
So that puts him down to 1. And the remaining attacks.
3. And looking for 2s. 2. That involve 4.
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. Unfortunately. So that is Slay the Warlord.
Yeah.
So after the Nightbringer slayed the Primaris Chaplain, he piled in towards the Dark Shroud, and the Dark Shroud rolled his 3 attacks but failed to wound. And with all the fighting done this turn, we'll be going to Dark Angel's scoring. What do we have, Tavish?
So, as far as no prisoners go, my warlord was the only one to kill anything, so I'll get the 1 point granted for that, plus 3 for priority orders received. And then finally, 3 turns have come and gone, so I get D3 plus 3 for not 1 step back, so D3 plus 3, so that's 6.
That's 6 victory points for not 1 step back.
The Dark Angel's turn results in a massive point swing, scoring 10 points, bringing them up to 16 victory points total. The cards Darren has put into play are Defend Objective 5, which he is already in possession of, and given the tools Tavish has remaining, will be essentially impossible for him to deny. Age of the Machine will score 1 for destroying the Dark Shroud, and Scour the Skies will also be achieved with the Dark Shroud's destruction. We have a summary turn for the Necrons. These units here essentially remain stationary and ensuring they are controlling the objective, and put all their firepower into destroying the Inceptors. The squad of Immortals and Lord which were here used the Veil of Darkness relic to teleport to the bottom edge of the board and made an epic charge. And after all the units in the combat have fought, this is the state of control. This great play by Darren denied the Dark Angels from being able to score their Defend Objective 4 card. So, Necron scoring. Defend Objective 5 is halfway to being scored. Age of the Machine and Scour the Skies were both scored, bringing the Necrons to 12 victory points. Returning to Dark Angel's objectives, Defend Objective 4 remains in play, but has been effectively reset by Darren's play in the previous turn. At this stage of the game, Tavish did not have an ideal hand, so he has put down Defend Objective 1 and the Path of Redemption, which will grant 1 victory point if he charges an enemy unit with a higher power level than the unit that is charging, which should be achievable. With only 2 units remaining, we figured we should summarize what took place. The intercessors which were across this lava pool leapt across in the charge phase and got involved in this big combat here, managing to do 1 wound on the Nightbringer, and in turn were all but destroyed. At the end of Dark Angel's turn 4, they score Path of Redemption, bringing them to 17 victory points. And will be discarding Defend Objective 1 as it is no longer achievable.
Okay, jumping ahead quite a bit.
Given the state of the table, we decided to call the game at this stage. We did play out the objectives and determined the way scoring would be settled would be as follows. Ultimately, it's the Necrons' victory, 23-17. Thanks for watching this battle report. This one was far more editing intensive than I would have liked, but given what I recorded, I wanted to release something that was watchable. If you guys got comments or feedback, I'd be happy to hear it. And if you got any questions or tips for the players, I'm sure they would be happy to hear those as well. And with all of that said, I hope to see you guys at our next Theater of War.